I still catch myself, sometimes, standing in the cereal aisle at 11:47 p.m., holding a box of Frosted Flakes like it's a relic from a past life. And suddenly I'm 9 years old again, sitting on the kitchen counter while my dad pours the milk too high, so the tiger on the box gets a tiny white mustache. That memory used to feel warm. Now it feels like a crime scene, because I can see the exact moment the lie started. The promise that if I just ate the right cereal, wore the right sneakers, got the right grades, I'd finally be safe inside my own skin. I put the box back on the shelf without buying it. The fluorescent lights buzz overhead like 1,000 judgmental bees. I walk out empty-handed and cry in the parking lot because I finally understand that every single person in that store is still trying to buy their way back to a childhood that never actually existed. We're all just kids with bigger carts, chasing the ghost of a feeling we were told belonged to sugar and Saturday mornings. Last week, I found a Polaroid tucked inside an old journal. Me, at 23, arms slung around 6 friends at a music festival, eyes half closed from whatever was in the red cup, mouths open mid-scream at a band we swore changed our lives. I stared at that photo for 20 minutes straight. Not one of those people speaks to me anymore, not one. And yet there I was, grinning like I'd won the lottery of belonging. I turned the photo over. On the back, in my own drunk handwriting, "This is forever." Forever lasted exactly 4 more festivals, 3 breakups, 2 moves, and 1 quiet Tuesday when I admitted out loud that the music never saved me. It just drowned out the sound of my own heart asking to be heard. I didn't burn the photo. I put it in a small wooden box I keep on the highest shelf. A museum of the girl who thought love was measured in wristbands and matching sunglasses. Some nights I take the box down and let her visit. I don't scold her. I just whisper, "You did your best with the map you were given. Thank you for walking me this far. There's this tree I pass every morning on my run. An ancient oak that got struck by lightning years ago. Half of it is charred black, split right down the middle, but the other half kept growing anyway. New green leaves sprout defiantly from the burned side every spring like the tree is saying, 'Watch me make beauty out of the exact place you thought would kill me.' I started leaving little offerings at its base. A smooth stone from the river, a feather I found on the trail, once a tiny origami crane I folded while thinking about every person who ever called me dramatic for feeling everything too much. I never told anyone about the tree. Then one morning I showed up, and someone had left a single playing card tucked into the bark. The Queen of Hearts, face up, edges curling from dew. No note, no name, just proof that someone else understands sacred doesn't need an audience. I pressed my forehead against the rough trunk and sobbed so hard my knees buckled, not from sadness, from recognition. The tree and I, we're the same organism now, half scorched, twice alive, roots drinking from rivers no one else can see. People keep asking me what I do for work, now that I quit the corporate job that was slowly embalming my soul. I tell them I'm a professional rememberer. They laugh, waiting for the real answer. I don't give it, because how do you explain that my full-time job is remembering who I was before? The world taught me to apologize for taking up space. How do you explain that I get paid in sunsets now? In the exact shade of pink that only shows up when you're willing to stand still long enough for the sky to finish its sentence. How do you explain that my 401k is the sound of wind chimes I hung outside my bedroom window, the ones that play a different song every single night, like the universe is DJing my dreams? I tried once at a dinner party full of people who still measure success in square footage. I said, "I trade in presence." Someone snorted into their Pinot. "So you're unemployed?" I smiled so wide my cheeks hurt. "No. I'm unemployable by anything that requires me to forget I'm alive." I started keeping a running list on my phone, titled, things that used to scare me that now feel like home. It's up to 312 items. Number 47 is eating alone in restaurants. I celebrated crossing it off by taking myself to the fanciest sushi bar in the city, wearing the red dress I used to save for someone else's approval. I sat at the counter and ordered the chef's tasting menu. 16 courses, 2 hours, no phone. Just me and the ancient ritual of watching a stranger turn raw fish into art. The couple next to me kept sneaking glances, whispering. I caught the woman's eye and smiled. She smiled back, like she'd been caught stealing. By course 12, she leaned over and asked, "Are you waiting for someone?" I said, "I'm here with the love of my life." She looked confused until I gestured to my own chest. Her eyes filled with tears. She reached over and squeezed my hand so hard, her wedding ring left a mark. Her husband never noticed. He was too busy taking photos of his toro for Instagram. When I left, she slipped a note into my palm. "Thank you for reminding me I'm still in here." I keep that note taped inside my journal, right across from the Polaroid of the girl who thought love required a +1. Some nights the loneliness still shows up wearing nostalgia's clothes. It sneaks in around 2:13 a.m. with a playlist of songs that used to play in someone else's car. It crawls into bed with me and whispers every name I've lost like a rosary of regrets. On those nights I don't fight it. I let it wrap its cold arms around me until I'm shaking. Then I do the thing that saved my life. I put my hand flat on my chest and feel for the exact spot where my heart is still beating like a defiant drum. I count the beats out loud, 1, 2, 3, until I remember this body has never once missed a cue. Not through every heartbreak, every ghosting, every night I thought the pain would actually kill me. Still here, still beating, still mine. By beat 47, the loneliness starts to shrink. By beat 108, it's just a child who got scared in the dark. By beat 222, it's gone, and I fall asleep with my own hand as anchor, dreaming of oceans that don't need anyone else's tide to remember how to move. I started writing letters to my future friends, the ones who haven't found me yet. I seal them with wax and hide them in places I love. Inside the hollow of the lightning tree, under the loose brick at the trailhead, tucked behind the radiator in the laundromat, where the old man plays chess with himself every Thursday. The letters say things like, "If you're reading this, you already know what it feels like to outgrow your own life. You already know the specific ache of being too much for the wrong people. I'm sorry it took so long. I was learning how to stop apologizing for the space I take up. Meet me at the corner where the streetlight flickers like it's nervous. I'll be the one carrying 2 cups of tea and no expectations." I've written 23 letters so far. None have been found that I know of. Or maybe all of them have. Maybe someone out there is carrying my words in their pocket, like a backstage pass, to a show they didn't know they were invited to. The not knowing is part of the magic. There's a stray cat that started visiting my balcony every night at 11:11. Black as midnight with one white paw, like he's wearing a single sock. I named him Rumi because the first time he showed up, he walked straight to the candle I keep burning for no reason, and stared into the flame like he was reading poetry in the fire. He never asks to come inside. He just sits on the railing, tail flicking, watching me watch him. Some nights I talk to him about everything. The friends who left, the mother who doesn't understand, the way my own voice still surprises me when I hear it tell the truth out loud. He listens like he's been waiting centuries for someone to finally say it. Last night he brought me a gift, a single perfect dandelion, stem intact, flower glowing yellow under the moon. I laughed so hard I scared him. Then I cried because I understood. He was teaching me that even weeds can be bouquets if you carry them with love. I pressed the dandelion between the pages of the book I'm reading about learning to be human. Page 173 now holds the exact moment a cat reminded me that belonging doesn't require permission. I stopped wearing a watch 6 months ago. Time started feeling abusive, like a landlord who keeps raising the rent on a life I was never consulted about. Now I measure days in textures, the specific shade of blue that only exists right after rain. The way my neighbor's laugh travels through the walls like a secret handshake. The exact temperature of coffee when it's perfect for writing letters to strangers who might save my life someday. People keep asking if I'm scared of falling behind. Behind what? The arbitrary finish line someone drew in the sand while we were all busy trying to outrun death. I'm not behind. I'm deep. Deep in the kind of time that doesn't tick. It ripples. Deep in the kind of minutes that stretch like honey and hold entire galaxies in a single inhale. The only thing I'm behind on is pretending urgency matters more than presence, and I'm perfectly content to stay late on that assignment forever. I started a game with the moon. Every full moon, I write down one lie I'm ready to stop believing about myself and burn it in the same candle I keep for Rumi. Last month's lie was, I am too intense for love. The flame took it so fast I barely saw the paper curl. The month before, my worth is measured by who stays. That one took longer, fought the fire like it knew it had squatted in my bones for decades. I watched it turn to ash and felt something shift in my hips, like my body was finally allowed to take up the space it had been apologizing for since puberty. This month's lie is still blank. I'm wait outing for the moon to get fat and sassy enough to handle whatever truth is ready to crawl out of my throat next. Some nights I sit on the balcony with the empty paper in my lap and just breathe. Rumi sits beside me, purring like a tiny generator of forgiveness. The moon doesn't rush me. She knows some lies are so old they need to be coaxed out like splinters. There's a voicemail I can't delete. It's from my ex-best friend, the one who said I changed too much after I stopped drinking to numb the feeling of being alive. She left it 3 years ago on the night I got sober. Her voice is slurred, angry, breaking. You think you're better than us now? You think you're enlightened or whatever? Newsflash, you're just alone, and you always will be. I used to listen to it and crumble. Now I listen to it and hear the terror underneath her words. The terror of someone staring into the void and seeing their own reflection waving back. I kept the voicemail because it's the last time she ever said my name like it mattered. Some nights I play it on speaker while I cook dinner for one. I let her rage echo off the kitchen tiles while I chop onions and cry for both of us. Then I delete the tears, not the message. Some ghosts deserve to stay exactly where they are, trapped in their own story while I keep walking into mine. I started dreaming in other people's voices. Not creepy voices, gentle ones. Last week I dreamed Sarah was braiding my hair and whispering, "You were never the problem. You were the exit." 2 nights ago Marcus was teaching me how to skip stones across a lake made of starlight, and every stone I threw came back as a firefly. Amara appears most often. She's always older in the dreams, maybe 25, wearing the red dress I wore to the sushi bar, telling me, "You taught me that growing up doesn't have to mean growing small." I wake up gasping, heart racing like I've been running through dimensions. I write the dreams down in a notebook, labeled Messages from People Who Haven't Met Me Yet. The notebook is almost full. I don't know what it means. I just know that when I read the entries aloud, my apartment feels less like a container and more like a portal. Some mornings I wake up laughing because I can still feel Sarah's fingers in my hair. Some mornings I wake up crying because Marcus's fireflies are still blinking behind my eyelids. Either way, I wake up less alone than I was when I fell asleep. I found a new way to pray. It's not words anymore. Words started feeling like cages trying to trap infinity. Now I pray with my body. When I'm grateful, I dance in the kitchen until the neighbors bang on the ceiling, and I just dance harder. When I'm scared, I lie on the floor and spread my arms wide, like I'm trying to hold the entire world's grief in my rib cage until it turns into light. When I'm angry, I run until my lungs burn, and every exhale is a scream no one needs to hear but me. When I'm in love, with the barista who draws tiny hearts in my latte foam, with the way rain sounds different on every window, with the fact that I'm still here despite everything, I walk as slow as possible, touching every wall, every leaf, every stranger's dog, like I'm leaving fingerprints of devotion on the skin of the world. The first time I prayed this way, I expected lightning or angels or at least a text from someone who missed me. Instead, I got silence so complete, I could hear my own blood singing. That was the day I understood. Prayer isn't asking for anything. It's remembering you already have everything and letting your body say thank you in the only language it was ever fluent in. Movement. I keep a jar on my desk, labeled Reasons to Stay. Every time I want to disappear, I write something on a scrap of paper and add it to the jar. There are 487 scraps now. Some are profound. The way the sky looks like it's blushing right before sunrise. Some are ridiculous. The new Thai place does mango sticky rice that makes me believe in God again. Some are heartbreaking. Amara asked if she could call me uncle, and I realized someone still needs the version of love I'm learning how to give. When the jar gets too full, I empty it into a bigger one. I've gone through 3 jars so far. I labeled the newest one, Reasons the Universe Keeps Choosing Me Back. I don't open the old jars. I don't need to. I know what's inside. Proof that even on the days I forget, something else remembers. Last night I walked to the river at midnight, just to watch the city lights fracture across the water. A man was playing saxophone on the bridge, some old jazz standard that sounded like crying in the most beautiful way possible. I stood there for 43 minutes, letting the music stitch me back together, one torn piece at a time. When he finished, he packed up his sax and walked over. Without a word, he handed me a single red rose he'd been keeping in his case. For whoever taught you how to listen like that, he said. I started to tell him no one taught me, that losing everyone I loved ripped my ears open until silence became a language I could finally understand. But he was already walking away, case swinging, melody still hanging in the air like smoke. I carried the rose home, pressed between my palms like a secret heartbeat. It's drying now, upside down above my desk, next to the dandelion and the note from the sushi bar, a tiny altar to every stranger who's ever reminded me that connection doesn't always wear a familiar face. Sometimes I think the real awakening wasn't seeing through the illusion of separation. It was realizing the illusion was never the enemy. It was the teacher. Every person who left, every promise that broke, every night I thought my heart would actually stop from the weight of being alive. They were all just different ways the universe was teaching me how to hold myself the way I kept begging other people to hold me. I'm still learning. Some days I forget and text an old friend something vulnerable, only to watch the read receipt sit there like a tombstone. Some days I remember and dance in the kitchen until the floorboards forgive me for every time I thought I was too heavy to be loved. Most days are both, and that's okay, because the path isn't about arriving at some polished version of enlightenment where loneliness no longer knocks. It's about learning to open the door when it does, look it straight in the eye, and say, "Oh, it's you again? Come in. I saved you a seat at the table where everything gets to be true." I used to think waking up would feel like rising above the world. Turns out it feels more like falling in love with it. Every cracked sidewalk, every rude cashier, every song that makes me cry in the grocery store. Falling so deeply that leaving isn't an option anymore. Not because I'm trapped, but because I finally found the one place that was never trying to get away from me. Right here, inside this aching, awkward, glorious human, Heart that learned to beat in a rhythm no one else needs to recognize for it to be real. And if you're still reading this, if your eyes are tired and your chest feels like it's been cracked open and filled with starlight and storm clouds at the same time, if you've ever stood in a room full of people who used to feel like home and realized the address changed without anyone telling you, please know this: you are not crazy. You are not too much. You are not alone. You are the exact right amount of awake for this moment. And somewhere out there, someone is writing you a letter they haven't sealed, yet someone is leaving a playing card in a tree they think no one will find. Someone is saving the seat next to them on a midnight bridge, just in case you show up carrying the same kind of silence they've learned to speak fluently. They feel you coming, the way flowers feel spring long before the snow is done being dramatic. Keep going. Keep burning the lies. Keep dancing in kitchens that belong to no one but the moment. Keep leaving roses for strangers and stones for trees and love notes for the versions of yourself who thought they'd never make it this far, because they did. We did. You are the prayer you've been praying, and the answer was always yes. Yes to the mess. Yes to the quiet. Yes to the nights you weren't sure the sun would bother coming back. Yes to every single step that brought you here. Barefoot, heart open, finally ready to belong to yourself so completely that belonging to each other becomes a choice instead of a survival strategy. The table is set. The candle is lit. Rumi is purring. The moon is full and waiting for your next lie to burn. There's a seat with your name on it, carved not in the wood, but in the space between heartbeats where everything real has always lived. Come home. We've been saving you a dance.